Now, continuing on from part 14, all right? Now, you will see that in ancient Egyptian, like we previously discussed, that the name for a house is Bait. And in Swahili, Baiti, okay, according to Farga Sherman, as well as, just general Swahili, a house is called Baiti, right? Now, guess what other language other than South Arabic, which is Bait, and Arabic, which is Bait. Now, this here is the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and that's Bait. All right? Bait. Now, the Hebrew word Bait is represented by the pictograph of a house. All right? Bait. All right? So in Hebrew, the word Bait means not only the members of the household, but also the house. That is Bait in Hebrew. Now, I'll show you here one more thing real quick. Now, according to the Strong's Concordance, you can see up here, Bayit, okay? Again, another way of pronouncing the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Bayit, it means a house. You see that? Now, what's even more interesting, remember that I told you that the members of the household in the Ekegusi language are called what? Bayito. Alright? Bayito. Now, look at the word bayit here. If you add an O, just an O, and that's common, phonetic variations happen, okay? Just add an O there. It becomes the Ekegusi word bayito, meaning members of the household. Isn't this funny? Now, I'll show you something else. Now, in the further breakdown of this word, and you can look at this concordance here. Now, you do see with the words that are highlighted with red, you see it says the word for a daughter. Then it says family, all right? Then it says holders and the household, right? Now, remember I told you in Ekegusi Baito are members of the household. How is it that Ekegusi Bantu is exactly the same as this Hebrew word? Okay? In Swahili, Baiti. Yet members of the household will be called Betu. Let's stop and ask ourselves, why? Okay, why is Afro-Asiatic even a category if you can find the same root words in the Afro-Asiatic language, you can find it within the Bantu? Okay, and when I use Swahili, many people like to say, oh, Arabic basically created Swahili. No, did Arabic create Ekegusi? Ekegusi, Vaito, members of the household. Now, let me show you something here real quick. Even Wikipedia just goes and repeats the same things, these Western scholars write. Now, I'll show you here something real quick. It's funny. Now, guys, I challenge you. This, I just Googled myself. Just look at that up here. This is a joke. It says the letters names means house in various Semitic languages. Arabic, Bait, Akkadian is Bitu or Betu. By the way, in Swahili, Kingwana dialect, Betu are members of the household. Betu is exactly the same as Swahili Kingwana. They say Bana Betu. You see that? Then you have Hebrew, Bayit, Phoenician, Bet, and ultimately all from Proto-Semitic Bait, and appears to derive from an Egyptian hieroglyph of a house by acrophony. Now, that part they do get right. They actually quote Egyptian, but do you see how they group all these languages as Semitic, Proto-Semitic? What in the world is Proto-Semitic if in Bantu, members of the household are also called Beito? In Swahili, Baiti. You see how these people lie? They just sat down here and created a language category to make them feel superior and connected to the people of the promised land. So when somebody is from Europe and they're telling you that this is their language, you have to ask yourself some questions. Seriously, the word Betu, Baito, is a Bantu, a Proto-Bantu word that means members of the household or the people. And it's from the word Betu that you get the phonetic variation of the word Bantu. That's what they say, Batu Betu, Bantu Betu. The word bite, when Bantus call themselves Batu or Bantu, it means that they're saying we share a common father who is what? Muntu. Muntu. Okay? And from here, you come from the house of who? The Bantu people. That's why people, you will hear Africans in general, but also Bantus will call each other brothers. Because they come from the same household. Betu, Baiti. So how then did this ancient Hebrew turn to become Indo-European or have Indo-European connections? Batu, Betu, these are Bantu words. Okay? Even as a term of camaraderie, you will hear people saying Vaite in Meru as a sign of camaraderie. Vaite. Remember the Hebrew letter for household is what? Bet or vet. Some cultures will go Vaite. Now, if you look within Swahili culture, even the method of braiding hair, you guys know Bantu knots, right? Bantu knots are called Mabutu. Okay, from the word butu, betu, the idea of weaving and braiding again is still connected to the concept of the word batu, bait, bait. Okay, and it's from here, like I showed you previously. Hang on a second. Okay, and this is what I was showing you, that the concept of a daughter, again, is what, is basically associated with the idea of a house. You will see that not only in Hebrew, because in Hebrew, the first letter that spells a daughter is what? The letter bait. Do you know why? Because the woman is the first kind of shelter, living shelter that ever housed a human. Okay? We're human incubators because of our wombs. That is why the house is given a feminine principle. All right? So in Hebrew, the word for house is what? Bati. No different from the word bait, beito. Okay? Bati. In Ekegusi, the word for a daughter is what? Mosu bati. That consonant bati comes from the idea of a house. All right? Swahili baiti. Even in Hindu, come on. A daughter is called Beta or, Beta. I've forgotten the other name. I think Betty. Yeah, but either way, still it has that Semitic derivation. Do you see what I'm saying? The word bati in Swahili is a female hairstyle. Bati is a female braiding hairstyle in Swahili. But banati is a daughter or a maiden in Swahili. Banati. Now, look at the word banati and take out the word na. Banati, you take out the word na, it becomes bati. Exactly the same as the Hebrew word bat, meaning a daughter. Do you see how the word bait or the word house has a very feminine principle? That is why even Africa or the people of Africa, I refer to the people who come from Mama Africa. You don't hear them saying Mama America or Mama Europe, because most of how we refer to ourselves as a people comes from a feminine principle. Batu, Bantu, Utu, the more compassionate ones. Those with more, should I say, feminine kind of compassion. So how did this word become then European? Okay? Why is Hebrew considered Afro-Asiatic and not Bantu? And why is Egypt not considered Bantu, ancient Egyptian? Next, we'll talk about that.